Okay, come on in the room. Of course, I feel like something's in my eye. Probably sleep. What's up, everyone? What's going on? It's your girl Sunshine here, back at you with another video. And I wanted to do this video here to give you an update on what's going on in the Nolan Wells case, or with the Nolan Wells case. Now, if you don't know, okay, first of all, thank you to all my subscribers, my new subscribers, and all my subscribers in general. Thank you so much for subscribing to my video. Thank you for watching. Thank you to the ones who watch and not even subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that too, okay? I'm not going to turn it down. Now I feel like one of my lashes is hanging. Oh my goodness. Anyway. But like I was saying, thank you to everyone who watched my videos. I really appreciate it. And I hope you get some good information from it. And I hope you start to engage in conversation with me and through the chat or through the comment section, or, you know, subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and give me a thumbs up. Oh, y'all see my gray over here popping? Okay, just telling all my age, telling all my business. Okay. But anyway, yeah, so I wanted to talk about the Nolan Wells case today. The mom, Christine, she did an interview with Don Lemon, as Officer Tatum call him Don Lemon. What do you call him? Lemon drop, lemonade, or something. Anyway, I thought when I heard about the interview that Ben Crump and Christine, Nolan Wells' mom, was going to do with Don Lemon, I thought, I was like, wow, they're really out here doing interviews. Ben Crump was on the Art of Dialogues video podcast. And if you haven't seen the clips of that, because I don't believe the full video has been released, but clips of the video has been released. And, you know, check it out on the Art of Dialogue channel. He does wonderful interviews over there. Check it out. I was watching, I only saw one clip, and I was just like, wow. You know, it's so crazy because Nolan Wells' mom is asking for answers about what happened to her son. Okay, if you don't know, let me summarize the situation, what's going on, and let you know the seriousness of what's happening, right? So, let me make sure my volume is up. Make sure everybody can hear me. Okay, so Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old boy. He was in college, I believe just got to college, a freshman in college. I forgot the college. He lived in Mississippi, and he went out with his friends on a boat trip for the 4th of July. Now, mind you, school is about to start if it hasn't already, because here in the South, school has started already. But so I don't, well, Mississippi is the South too, but here in South Carolina, Mississippi, South Carolina children have went back to school, and that's college and grade school. But I'm not sure about Mississippi yet. But so I guess they do like a big end of summer type of a whole bunch of young teenagers go out to on the lake in their boats or in their parents' boats, and they have a ball, they have a fun on the water, and they get drunk and everything, right? So Nolan Wells was one of not many black people that went out there, and he didn't show up back home. Okay, everyone turned back up except for Nolan Wells. He was missing, and 2 days later his body was found he was face down in the water, like washed up on the shore. Now, it was very suspicious because he was face down and he was washed up on shore. So the positioning of his body caused for people to wonder what happened to him. And the fact that the Mississippi Police Department, as soon as they found his body, right there, not even an hour after they found his body, they already was trying to deem it as a accidental drowning. And Nolan Wells' mom was like, no, nah, you're gonna do an investigation, okay? How you gonna say? She said her son knew how to swim very well, okay? Matter of fact, he was on track teams. He was on a track team, so he knew how to swim. So he swims, so he shouldn't have drowned. So of course, then everyone was silent for a long time, and then supposedly his friends, okay, came out and they started doing interviews with Officer Tatum and saying that even though they shut down their social media sites and pages around that first week when Nolan Wells' body was found, all his so-called friends shut down their social media pages, and then they waited a couple weeks and then they start doing interview. Well, they did an interview on Officer Tatum's YouTube channel. You can go check out that disgrace of an interview, okay, on Officer Tatum's page. He has a whole 4-part series of that awful interview, in my opinion. But anyway, so Warren was one of the boys who did the interview, and he made a lot of claims real quick. To me, it was prematurely, and I remember when I watched it, I said, wow, the case hasn't even concluded, and he's going to do an interview? That's very bold of him. And since he's done that interview, so much evidence has come out, and we as YouTubers and regular people have really started putting together the pieces of what actually happened with Nolan Wells. So Warren said in that interview with Officer Tatum that he left Horn Allen at 3 p.m. He said it was 5 of them. So I don't know if it was 5 in total or 5 included, 5 plus him, which would be 6. But listen, so he said they left Horn Island, which is the island they were on, and he said Nolan Wells decided to stay with this girl that he was cradling named Katie because he was all booed up. And he said that Nolan Wells had been drinking, and so one would assume that Nolan was probably out of his mind, drunk, okay, and didn't know how to control himself, and he stayed even though his friends was leaving the island because the boat was allegedly sinking, right? And so Warren said that they made the call, the boat was sinking, and they had to do some things to try to get the boat from not sinking. And then they went a couple of places, and then they docked the boat on land, and then they all went to sleep. And then when they woke up, they went to a party at Warren's girlfriend's house, and then after the party, then that's when he thought, where's Nolan? We haven't seen Nolan. So he calls the Coast Guard because he's worried about where Nolan's at, and then he attempts to call Nolan's mom a couple of times. He gets in touch with her, and then he tells her that Nolan's not with him. He's concerned about Nolan. And then she hangs up with him. She makes some phone calls. Warren says he tries to get back in touch with the mom. She doesn't answer her phone. And then the next thing you know, it's a whole situation. This is what Warren said on his interview. So Nolan's mom has came out and said that she received a phone call from Warren. Warren told her that Nolan wasn't with him, and he wasn't sure what had happened, but he was going to call the Coast Guard. So we don't know what exactly all was said during that conversation. So Nolan's mom, Christine, she attempts to try to find Nolan on her own. She tried to attempt to locate Nolan's cell phone, which Warren didn't tell Christine that Nolan left his cell phone on the boat. So he told all his friends to leave him with this girl who he was cradling, even though he didn't have his cell phone. And he's an 18-year-old, okay? I'm 45, and I'm not going nowhere without my cell phone and my laptop, okay? But anyway, that's me. Anyway, so Nolan's mom, Christine, said that she got someone to locate Nolan's phone, and they located at one of his alleged friend's house. And so Christine went to this friend's house and requested the phone. She was given the phone, but no information about when the last time they saw Nolan. She said nothing made sense. They couldn't give her no information about Nolan. And then a couple days later, on the 6th, this happened on the 4th of July. On the 6th of July is when Nolan's body showed up, and the police tried to automatically deem it an accidental death and suicide. Nolan's mom, Christine, said, no, I'm not falling for that. She contacted Ben Crump, okay, the activist attorney, to handle this case and find out what actually happened to her son. Ben Crump has been doing an excellent job, in my opinion, of helping Christine find out what happened to her son. And I used to feel negatively about Ben Crump because I felt like when he came around, the families would only get paid from the state and get these big old payouts, and then still no information about what happened to their child. And I feel like this is probably going to be one of those cases. However, YouTubers are not falling for the mess. People are speaking out on social media, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, far as I know, and probably other social media sites, and saying, no, we want to know what happened to Nolan. Okay, so as of this week, as of today is August 5th. All right, it's been a day, it's been a month and a day since Nolan has, been murked. And Christine and Ben Crump does an interview with Don Lemon, and Don Lemon asks Christine, how are the people at work treating you? How is your job treating you while you're going through all this, trying to figure out what happened to your son? And she says, oh, everyone's in support of me. They're all in support of me. Everyone's treating me well. Soon after she gets off that interview, why she gets noticed that she's being investigated for her nursing license because of anonymous claim that has come in, and someone is saying that obviously she did something that was unethical when she utilized her license, and I believe she has a doctorate in nursing or something like that. I think she is a nurse practitioner, but I'm not sure. I know she's higher than a regular nurse, a regular like RN. I believe she's a nurse practitioner. Anyway, so the Board of Nursing has been notified that there's a claim that has been brought up against her. So I'm not sure if she's still working or if she could work during these circumstances while they're doing the investigation. But I thought it was real funny how it's an anonymous claim. No one knows who made the claim, what they're saying, what's being investigated. We don't even know what's going on, so she doesn't either, because this is public records. So when I hear all this, right, everything that I'm talking about, right, it reminds me of a movie. And I've been stopped watching like years ago, probably 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I've been stopped watching all those like Mississippi Burning type movies where it's almost like a slave type movie where you have a black person who either gets murked, okay, or they get locked up because they allegedly murked a person of Caucasian descent. And y'all know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be polite, right? And so this reminds me of that. It really reminds me of that. And I almost can predict that she's probably going to get paid off. She's not going to get any evidence or any answers about this case. And everyone in Mississippi who has a hand in covering up the real information as to what happened to Nolan Wells, they're going to continue on with their lives. I'm thinking that on one side of my brain, I'm thinking that's how this is going to go. On the other side, I'm thinking, no, we're not letting it go. We're not letting it go. We're not. We're tired of this mess. And when I say we as the people, not just black people, tired of, being discriminated against, being taken out of this world, okay, losing our loved ones, all because of a race of people do not like our race of people because of the color of our skin. Like, how crazy is that in 2026? That people can be so hateful still in 2026, all because I'm black? That bothers you because I have a darker complexion than you? You feel threatened in some type of way by me because I have a darker complexion than you? Make that make sense. I mean, just think about it. That's craziness, okay? It's craziness to think that. And especially what power, I mean, we do have power. I'm not going to let that go. But what is the threat? I really don't understand. Is the threat that we'll succeed and you all want, the Caucasian race will be on the bottom? I don't understand what the threat is. I really don't. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up why the hate is so real. Anyway, moving on. So I predicted this, though. I said this. I remember saying weeks ago that they're going to come for her license. Speaking of the mom, Christine, because it reminds me of a movie. Y'all done seen this movie before? We all have seen this movie before. Okay, it's the same storyline. It's the same thing. And it reminds me of a little bit of my situation when I went through losing my husband and having to fight his family with everything that I had after my husband passed away. So briefly, when my husband passed away, I barely had a chance to grieve because as soon as the doctor said that he was confirmed deceased, his family went into fight mode. And I had to go into fight mode. Even though I was grieving, I was lost and confused. I had just lost my sister, my only sibling, my sister was my everything. She was my role model. She was like all that and more to me. She was like a second mom. And I lost her, and that was heartbreaking. And then 2 months later, I lose my husband. And then when I lose my husband, as soon as they said that he was deceased, I go from grieving the loss of my sister, attempting to grieve the loss of my husband, and then his family went right into fight mode with me, trying to get his home, trying to get his car. Of course, they had access and they had rights to his life insurance policy. His dad was on his bank account, so his dad had access to his last couple paychecks that I wasn't able to get because the dad closed the account and took the funds, even though he wasn't using the account, but his name was on the account, even though he didn't use the account, but his name was on the account. And I repeated that because I even wrote a book about this thing. Hurt me so bad, and it put me in such a stressful situation, all while I'm trying to grieve, So I can imagine what the mom is going through. She's trying to grieve her son passing away. She still has to go to work and pay bills, okay? Now, not only is she fighting the city, the state, to find out what happened to her son, she just wants answers. She wants a full investigation. They're not giving her that. They're not giving her no answers. As a matter of fact, they're ignoring her as if she doesn't exist. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure they want her to just go on by her business, sit down somewhere, and get her life together, because they're just ignoring her, not giving her any answers, just giving her the runaround. So who does she have to help her while she's grieving? Okay, I'm pretty sure she's probably crying that night, crying all during the day, trying to grieve that, still got to make phone calls, still got to go to work. Ugh. When I say that just hits home for me, it does. It really does. It reminds me of how I was trying to grieve and figure things out and fight this man's family for his car, for his last paycheck so I could pay the bills, because my husband was middle class, upper class. So his money was the only money, was the main money we had coming in. So when he passed away, everything was tight. I didn't have anything. I didn't have his life insurance policy, which was fine, because when my sister passed away, I knew that he had his life insurance policy went to his family and not me. And that was okay, because we said we were just going to get a joint policy, and then we didn't, of course, because who would think that 2 months after my sister passed away, my husband's going to pass away, but life just happens like it does. But anyway, so I wrote a book about the documents you need to set in place to protect your property and to protect your finances and to create generational wealth. It's called Building Generational Wealth, One Document at a Time. It's on YouTube. It's a green book. It has the picture of me looking all beautiful and made up and stuff on the back of the cover. And it is my name, my alias for my book is Coach Hall, because my husband's last name was Hall, and I don't carry that name because why would I? Okay? He wanted me to have that name, but then I'm fighting with his family, or I was fighting with his family for everything that he had. I didn't want to hold on to that name. I thought it was a good idea after he passed away, but then I was like, you know what? I just want to let all that go so I can move forward in life. But anyway, so I remember how I was up at night, couldn't sleep, okay, grieving, crying, scared, not knowing what to do, lonely, upset, going through all those things, and still had to fight in court, still had to get a lawyer to protect my stuff and protect the things I had. And so I can imagine a mom is going through all this, and she has a husband, but it still doesn't make things better. She still has to suffer and go through all this. Now her license is being put on, her license maybe is brought into the situation where she could possibly lose her license, which means she could lose work. Okay, hopefully she's not back at work, but I know you don't get much time off when you're working on a job. I think you only get like 4 days. You may get a week off, okay? And then you usually have to go back to work. And go back to work, you're still grieving, you're still fighting the state, you're fighting everybody on social media and probably in person, okay? Because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people who see her and give her a lot of hate stares, or she has to probably go through a lot. I can't even imagine what this woman is going through, but I can a little bit. And I feel for her because I kind of understand. When people pass away, usually you would expect to have peace so that you can grieve and move forward. But a lot of times that's not the case. Okay, people get real greedy. They show their true colors when things happen like this. If you haven't gone through losing a loved one, then you don't understand what I'm saying. It probably sounds like blah blah blah, like womp 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 right now, until it happens to you, and then you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You know, hopefully it won't happen to you and you won't understand what I'm talking about. But to the ones who understand, we know, okay? When you're grieving the loss of someone, it can be rough. It can be real rough. And in the situation with Miss Christine and Nolan Wells, she's going through it, okay? She's going through it. When she's still on social media, she says she uses it as a way of therapy, and she says it's helping her as a way of grieving and therapy to just get her say what she needs to say. But she's you can see she's all red in the face. She's red around the eyes, red in the nose and the mouth, which is probably where she's crying, and she light skinned. So you already know it's a telltale, right? With a dark skinned person like myself, the only way you're gonna be able to tell is my eyes because my eyes will be red that I'm sad or upset or something. But I understand that, unfortunately, and I hope I'm not just rambling here, but it's crazy how I swear I saw this movie before. That's how I feel. Like I seen this movie, you know, where it's no justice. And usually in those movies, there's no justice at the end of at the end of the movie. It's no justice. It's just you just telling your story. Okay, think about what's the guy? The young guy, the 14-year-old who they drug and hung and put in the water. What dog? I can't think of his name. Emmett Till. He was 13 years old, I believe, 13, 14 years old. And a Caucasian lady said that, told her husband that he was trying to hit on her. Now, when you know of a 13-year-old trying to hit on a grown-ass woman, a white woman at that, a black 13, 14-year-old trying to hit on a grown-ass white woman, what the fuck would he want with a grown woman? Okay? And then her husband went to the house where Emmett Till was staying, which was his family house, and I believe it was during the summertime. And then the family members, the mom and dad, or his uncle and aunt, they let these people take him out of there. And then he was missing, and then his body showed up, washed up, and he was all swollen up because he was badly beaten and abused, and I believe sodomized. And then his mom had an open casket to show everyone what those people did to her child. And it's like the same cases we keep hearing. There was in Mississippi a woman who was found hung in a tree. Now I can't confirm when this happened, but I believe it was this year. And this was in Mississippi. A black woman, a young girl, she was found hung in a tree. Okay, they're still hanging our people. Y'all, and people out here talking about racism doesn't exist. Why are you bringing race into this? Do you not know what is going on in United States of America? This shit is real. They not playing with us out here. And when I hear people say, oh, this racism thing, they throwing a race card, they trying to be victims, it's like, to me, I'm like, you one of them. You one of them. I can't trust you, okay? Now I gotta watch you outside of my eye, okay? And this is the reason why black people have to talk to their children. We have to talk to our family members. We have to come up with plans. We have to be strategic with how we move. because of this right here. And it's not just Mississippi, it's every state in America. It's even in different countries. You have to be careful and worried. But why? Why is this a thing? Why, white race? Please tell me, why do y'all hate us so much? What is the hate about for real? What is it? It's a threat? Like, if you think about it, we all move the same. We all, different cultures are going to be different. That's just how it is, right? Anyway, what the point I'm trying to make is, I'm so glad that people are not letting their foot up off Mississippi to hold them accountable about what they are not doing when it comes to this case right here, okay? Because we want answers. That's what we want. It's justice is what we're seeking. It's 2026. We're still being taken for granted, used and abused, and we still want answers. And we're not giving up. It's not about to happen, okay? We're not giving up. And I like the fact that social media is such a big thing, because social media is way bigger than the regular news, okay? And a lot of social media folks and influencers, we're not giving up on this type of case right here. We're speaking out. We're letting it be known. Y'all gonna stop this, okay? Or the tables are going to turn. Now, I ain't saying that I'm gonna do anything, because I ain't got time for the BS. But just like I saw that this was coming and was going to threaten her job, and unfortunately it's probably going to come to her husband, meet him head on as well, because what I feel they want to do, and that's the people in the state, the higher ups in the state of Mississippi, they want to hurt them, knock them down when it comes to their money, their finances, so that they can silence them, and then everything could be, settled quietly, and then everybody could move on their merry way, so that they could do this again and again and again and keep the cycle going. Because obviously the children of these racist people, every racist person in the world, obviously they're teaching their children the same thing. That's why it's not 1930s, 20s, or slavery time, which was way before the 1900s. But the stuff still keeps happening. This is happening by the children of the children, of the children of the adults, of the grandchildren. The great grandchildren are doing this stuff still in 2026. There's a case I heard, it was it was two elementary kids, and one was white, one was black, and the black kid was hanging from the coat hook in the bathroom. So this group of people is continuing this cycle, and it's not just the Caucasian race, it's usually all of the races. Hell, even our people, okay? Gotta put them on blast too. Everyone. They just continuously keep spewing this hate. And it's not gonna stop until we force it to stop, until we stand up and keep talking about it and keep making it a thing, and don't let it go. Don't get it caught up in the biggest fad, or your little feet, get caught up in the biggest fad, or the next big dance, okay, or song. See my grandson. But yeah, I fight like this for my grandson and my grandchildren, because what's not gonna happen is this to my son and to my children, because I have to make them aware of this. And it's crazy, but as a black parent, we have to have these types of conversations with our children and with our family members. No other race understands how this feels or what we actually go through. But it's crazy that we still have to do this in 2026. It's ridiculous. And no justice, no peace. Okay? And we're not playing. We're not taking our foot off the necks of the that are doing all this F stuff. Okay? I want to say how I really feel. I want to say it. I want to say the words so you can feel it. Because you can't feel it unless I say the words. But I don't want to say the words. Because I don't want my grandchild to hear me in here making all that doggone noise like that. But what I'm saying, y'all hear, y'all understand, y'all know. And then I saw this post where this lady was saying, where is the footage of the granddad who spoke with the captain? Because if you remember, okay, let me remind you, okay, when Warren was speaking with the Marine people who they supposedly had a membership with, the customer service agent who answered the call, she contacted the captain and asked the captain to go out there and check out Warren's boat to see what was going on. And the captain said, oh, I just got off the phone with the granddad. I mean, seconds ago. Got off the phone with the granddad and he told me everything was fine. They were fine. So where is that footage? Where is that phone call? Why that phone call hasn't come out? And no one is telling us, not the captain, not nobody has come out and told us what the hell the granddad said to the captain. Because if Warren and the other boys are saying that the boat was sinking, why did the granddad say it wasn't sinking? Why is it conflicting information here? Which makes me further believe the evidence that was going on in the background when you can hear the noise or the people saying, wake up, Nolan, wake the F up, Nolan. Is he dead? He's dead. Nolan, all that we heard in the background, which was verified to be accurate, okay? The only way that it could not be accurate and it could be like AI or fake is if the Marine people put out a fake tape. Now, why would they want to do that? You make that make sense, okay? If I hear someone talking about, we don't know if that's real, that's not what you heard in the background. I already know who you are. I peep you. If you come and say something that's like that, then I already know what time it is. You know, a lot of times people they wear a mask, right? Almost like it's Halloween, right? They'll put a mask on. It could be a happy mask. It could be a friendly mask, right? It could be a friendly mask. And they want you to feel like, oh, I'm on your side. I care. And the whole time when they get home, they take that mask off and it looks the opposite of what you saw. Okay? Or what you thought it meant. And they don't care nothing about you, child. Matter of fact, they probably scheming and scamming, trying to figure out how to take you out. And you don't even know. That's why you got to be careful about people. You got to be real careful. That's why I don't play with people like that. I don't. I do my work. I do my business. I handle my job. I handle my business. I do my work. I speak to people professional. I keep that shit professional. Because one thing I know is that when you keep it professional, you still can tell them ones. And to me, I wouldn't even say it's like Trump supporters. I wouldn't even say no mess like that. I don't believe that. It could be anybody. It could be Democrats, okay? To me, they're all the same anyway. Christians, them the main ones I don't trust. If you come to me with some Christian ass shit, I don't care how you feel. This is my channel here. If you don't like that I said that, or anything about Christians, because if you tell me you Christian, I already know what time it is, and I don't fool with Christians like that. Okay? They be the main ones to be judgmental, that judge you, they sneaky, be hateful. Don't come to me with that Christian mess. Okay? Because I ain't with that. Matter of fact, if you tell me that, I'm going to look at you like you part of the KKK. Because now I don't trust you. And you showed your cards, and I already know how to play the game with you. Okay? But y'all gotta stop being so doggone trustworthy. And you gotta keep your children in the doggone house. And then when you have your children out here in these activities and stuff, you gotta stay there and watch what's going on. Because our children not watching. They concentrating on what they doing. They focus on that. You gotta be watching. You gotta have eyes in the back of your head. Okay, it's 2026. Ain't nothing changed. It's getting darker. It's getting darker as the time goes on. You know, I run across so many situations, and I'm like just making sure I tell my children what's going on, just keep them abreast of what's going on and how things are played, and how, this game called life is. And it's a lot. It really is. But don't back down from it. Stay on folks' necks. Don't back down from that. Stay on folks' necks like Cardi B staying on Tasha K neck about her money. Cardi B is not playing, okay? She don't care what Tasha K doing. Matter of fact, she want her to succeed because she bought her money. She want her money, okay? And that's how I'm gonna stay on these folks' head too. All right? I want justice for this situation. I want justice in all these situations of all the unfairness that's going on, because I feel like it should be a thing. Let's make that a thing, right? Yeah, it's so upsetting to hear how this case is unraveling, and it's still no justice and nothing's come about. We don't know anymore. We just, allegedly, okay, a coach was there on July 4th on the island, and he said he spoke to Nolan around 3-ish, 3 or 3:30 p.m. And he said Nolan was just fine. He said he didn't suspect that Nolan had been drinking at all. And during that interview that Warren did on Officer Tatum's video, podcast, he said that Nolan had been drinking. So he put that little bit of that little tip out there because he wanted to stir the narrative. Because what he didn't tell us was that if you believe that Warren was being honest in that interview with Officer Tatum, why didn't Warren tell Officer Tatum that the granddad, either his granddad or whoever owned that boat, that granddad had spoke with the captain and told the captain not to go out there because everything was fine? Why he didn't talk about that? Because in the phone call, that's what the captain said. The captain said, I just got off the phone with the granddad. I just hung up seconds ago. And he said everything was fine. So who called the granddad, and what was that conversation about? Because I'm thinking somebody called the granddad because they were panicking, and the granddad told them what to do. Which makes me further think that the KKK is real. They have organizations set up, and they have meetings, and they have people in charge that can handle things. And in the state of Mississippi is one of those states where they're handling things just like the KKK do. Okay? I remember, y'all, my sister used to believe, what is the name of that store? It's not Home Goods. It's a craft store. My sister used to believe they had KKK meetings in that store. Because she said, ain't no way. She said every time she used to drive past the store, it would have an ass of cars there. But she said when she would go to it inside the store, because she was very creative, always creating stuff, making stuff, painting, everything. And she said she would go in those stores and no one would be in there, not one person. And she believed that they were having KK meetings in the back of that craft store. And I remember there is a movie that's something like that. It's a couple movies actually. If you think about it, Who Framed Tyrone, or Who Cloned Tyrone? In that movie, they had houses set up, and they actually were underground, like labs and stuff, where they were like cloning black people and making some type of solutions to go into food so that the black people would stay in a certain type of mind frame, sex, drugs, rock and roll, low vibrational, things of that nature. And if you think about it, that is mostly how the world is ran, right? And it's not just for black people, but, it goes to a lot of cultures. A lot of cultures fall into that category of being low vibrational, eating terrible foods, but it focused on us. And I think a lot of stuff focus on black people. It must be because we have some type of power that we don't know we have. I said it. Okay. I said it. Because I just don't understand why everyone seems like it's almost like the black sheep, like being the black sheep of the family. Now, we all supposed to be human, right? But the black people are the black sheep. Now, the lighter you are, you're still going to come across some racism, some hardship, but it'd probably be better than the dark skin situation. Unless you're really like submissive to other races. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. I didn't mean to go that deep, but it gotta be some conversations being had, definitely in the home, we know, because this type of stuff is continuously going on. And I believe this is what I believe happened. I believe Nolan got into it with one of those white boys, probably over a girl, or it could just be because one of the white boys feel that he felt like he was better than them, or they were jealous or hating him because of his confidence. Because, be honest, a lot of times other races, they do not like when we're confident. They don't like when we're confident. We hold our head up. We show up. We're not sad. We don't have that sad ghetto story. We can't say, oh, we come from a broken home. We grew up eating government cheese. We all had to sleep in a living room, one room. We had a one-room apartment on housing or Section 8. A lot of times they want to hear those stories from us. That's why, if you think about it, a lot of times when you see successful black people, when they do an interview, usually their situation was like that. It's because they pick those people out. They don't want the ones who actually came from a two-parent household, whether it was their dad or mom, their you know, blood dad or mom. If it's a two-parent household, you didn't have to struggle. They don't want that story to be played out. You know, so when you show up and you are confident, it could be a threat. It could be looked at as a threat. And I felt like Nolan probably was a threat to someone, to one of those boys. They probably got into a fight. It's more them than him. He probably didn't want to look like the aggressor. So he probably didn't even use all the strength he could use in the fight. So of course he got hurt. He probably fell and hit his head on that thing, on something that the bulge or whatever, the bilge that caused there to be an issue. Or that thing, that whole thing could be made up. I believe that too. Because think about it, if something happened with a person, you got to come up with some type of story. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it was a lot of boats around. You don't know that everyone's paying attention to what happened in that boat. It could be a lot of people that were standing around and they probably don't even know half the stuff that was going on. If people were drinking heavily, in which we know people can drink heavily, okay? That's the whole thing. So they probably not sitting there watching what's going on in their boat the whole time. But that's what I believe happened. He got in a fight. He didn't get up. That's why they said, Nolan, get up, because he didn't get back up. And then somebody realized they effed up. And then they had to cover it up. And I believe that's where, you know, that's when the phone call came in place. Gotta have an alibi, you know. And I believe the story probably changed, but they already said, oh, the boat was sinking. So they had to continue that out, even though we know the boat was not sinking. But anyway, I wanted to do this video because it hit me so hard and it just made me upset. And I was like, you know what? I want to tell the story, how I feel. You know, I want to speak my piece on it. And if anyone care to share how they feel, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let's talk about it, okay? No matter how you feel, let's talk about it. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. You don't have to believe what I believe in. You know, that's the beauty about this world. We're all different for a reason. Even if we look alike, we're still different. Even identical twins are different, right? So be yourself, speak how you feel. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, okay? Hit that bell so you can be notified when I go live or when I post a video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers, all right? Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment in the comment section. Tell me how you feel, what you think about what's going on with the case. What are your predictions as to what's going to happen with this case? And yeah, I'll be back with another one real soon. Real soon. You can tell I'm tired. Okay, real soon. Real soon I'll be back. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, you guys. Be safe.